Maya Johnson had been working at Henderson's grocery for 3 years, and she thought she knew everything about the small neighborhood store. At 24, she had worked her way up from cashier to assistant manager, earning the respect of both customers and coworkers with her friendly demeanor and strong work ethic. What most people didn't know about Maya was that she spoke 4 languages fluently, a skill she had developed during her childhood as the daughter of a military family who had lived in various countries around the world. On this particular Tuesday morning in March, the store was buzzing with its usual activity. The morning rush brought in office workers grabbing coffee and pastries, elderly customers taking their time selecting fresh produce, and busy parents picking up forgotten lunch items for their children. Maya was restocking the cereal aisle when she heard the phone ringing at the customer service counter. Sarah, the regular cashier, was dealing with a long line of customers, so Maya quickly walked over to answer the call. She picked up the receiver with her usual cheerful greeting, but instead of English, she heard rapid German being spoken on the other end. The caller sounded elderly and distressed, speaking so quickly that Maya had to concentrate to understand what was being said. The woman on the phone was explaining that she was lost and trying to find Henderson's grocery to pick up a prescription that had been transferred from another pharmacy. She had recently moved to the area to live with her daughter and didn't speak much English. The woman was clearly frustrated and worried, mentioning that she needed the medication urgently for her heart condition. Without hesitation, Maya responded in fluent German, her voice calm and reassuring. She asked for the woman's location and began giving detailed directions to the store, speaking slowly and clearly to ensure the elderly woman understood every word. Maya explained which bus routes would bring her directly to the store and offered to call the pharmacy to confirm the prescription was ready for pickup. As Maya continued the conversation in German, she noticed that the store had grown unusually quiet. She looked around and realized that several customers had stopped their shopping to listen to her speak. Some looked surprised, others impressed, but most seemed genuinely curious about this young woman who was effortlessly switching between languages. What Maya didn't notice was that Robert Henderson, the store owner and chairman of the small grocery chain, had just walked through the front entrance. He had stopped by for his weekly inspection, something he did at all 5 of his stores to ensure everything was running smoothly. Robert was a tall, distinguished man in his 60s who had built his grocery business from a single store into a respected local chain over the past 30 years. Robert stood near the entrance, observing Maya as she continued her phone conversation in German. He watched as she pulled out a piece of paper and began writing down additional information, presumably pharmacy details or timing for the customer. Her professional manner and genuine concern for helping the elderly caller impressed him. But what really caught his attention was her linguistic ability and how naturally she handled the situation. The conversation lasted about 10 minutes, with Maya providing not only directions but also information about the store's pharmacy hours, nearby medical facilities, and even suggesting a local German cultural center where the woman might feel more comfortable. She ended the call by giving the woman her name and encouraging her to ask for Maya specifically when she arrived at the store. As Maya hung up the phone, she turned around to find Robert Henderson standing nearby, having approached during her conversation. She recognized him immediately, having seen him during his previous visits to the store, though they had never been formally introduced. Maya felt a moment of concern, wondering if she had done something wrong by taking time away from her stocking duties to help with the phone call. Robert smiled warmly and extended his hand in greeting. He introduced himself and complimented Maya on how professionally she had handled the call. He asked about her language skills and seemed genuinely interested in learning more about her background. Maya explained briefly about her military family upbringing and her experience living in different countries, mentioning that she also spoke Spanish and French in addition to German and English. The conversation was interrupted when several customers approached with questions, and Maya excused herself to help them. Robert watched as she seamlessly transitioned between helping an elderly man find a specific type of bread, assisting a young mother with a crying baby, and answering questions from a teenage employee about inventory procedures. Her ability to juggle multiple tasks while maintaining a positive attitude was evident in every interaction. Before leaving the store, Robert made a point to speak with the store manager, Janet Williams, about Maya's performance. Janet spoke highly of Maya's dedication, reliability, and leadership qualities among the younger staff members. She mentioned that Maya often stayed late to help with difficult situations and had never complained about taking on additional responsibilities. As Robert drove to his next store location, he couldn't stop thinking about what he had witnessed. In his 30 years of business, he had learned to recognize natural talent and potential when he saw it. Maya's combination of language skills, customer service excellence, and professional demeanor was exactly what he had been looking for in someone to help expand his business into new markets. That evening, Robert sat in his home office reviewing the quarterly reports from all his stores. Henderson's Grocery had been performing well, but he had been considering expansion opportunities that would allow the company to serve the increasingly diverse community in their area. The city's demographics had been changing over the past decade, with growing populations of immigrants and international families who might appreciate multilingual customer service. Robert had been contemplating opening a location in the International District, where many recent immigrants settled when they first arrived in the city. The area had a significant German population, along with Spanish, French, and other language communities. Finding staff who could communicate effectively with these customers had been one of his main concerns about expanding into that market. As he reviewed Maya's employee file, which Janet had provided, Robert was impressed by her educational background, work history, and the positive feedback from both customers and colleagues. Several comment cards mentioned her specifically, praising her helpfulness and ability to go above and beyond in assisting customers with their needs. Robert made a decision that would change both his business and Maya's career trajectory. He picked up his phone and called Janet, asking her to arrange a meeting with Maya for the following day. He wanted to discuss an opportunity that could benefit both Maya and the Henderson's grocery chain, something that would utilize her unique skills and help the company serve their community better. The next morning, Maya arrived at work 30 minutes early, as was her habit. She liked having time to review the daily tasks, check inventory reports, and prepare for any special promotions or deliveries scheduled for the day. What she didn't expect was Janet approaching her with an unusual request before the store even opened to customers. Janet seemed both excited and mysterious as she asked Maya to meet with Robert Henderson at 10 o'clock that morning. When Maya asked what the meeting was about, Janet simply smiled and said that Mr. Henderson would explain everything himself. Maya spent the next few hours trying to focus on her regular duties while wondering what the store owner could possibly want to discuss with her. At exactly 10 o'clock, Maya knocked on the door of the small office at the back of the store. Robert Henderson welcomed her in with a warm smile and gestured for her to take a seat across from his temporary desk, which was covered with papers, charts, and what appeared to be demographic studies of the local area. Robert began by thanking Maya again for the professional way she had handled the German phone call the previous day. He explained that he had been observing the interaction and was impressed not only by her language skills, but by her genuine concern for helping the customer solve her problem. Maya thanked him for the compliment, but remained curious about the purpose of their meeting. Robert leaned forward and began explaining his vision for expanding Henderson's Grocery into new markets. He described the changing demographics of their city and the opportunities he saw to better serve the diverse community that was growing around them. He pulled out a map of the International District and pointed to a location where he was considering opening a 6th store. The International District was a vibrant area where many new immigrants settled when they first arrived in the city. The neighborhood was home to families from Germany, Mexico, France, Somalia, and many other countries. While there were small ethnic grocery stores scattered throughout the area, there wasn't a full-service grocery store that could serve the entire community effectively. Robert explained that his research had shown him that many residents of the International District traveled significant distances to shop at larger grocery stores, often struggling with language barriers and unfamiliar products. He believed that Henderson's Grocery could fill this gap by providing a welcoming environment with multilingual staff and products that catered to diverse cultural needs. Maya listened intently as Robert outlined his plans, but she still wasn't sure why he was sharing this information with her. The answer came when Robert asked about her language abilities in more detail. Maya explained that she was fluent in German, Spanish, and French, and could communicate at a basic level in Italian and Portuguese. She had learned these languages through a combination of living abroad, formal education, and personal interest in different cultures. Robert's eyes lit up as Maya described her linguistic background. He then asked about her long-term career goals and whether she had ever considered moving into management or business development. Maya admitted that she had been thinking about pursuing additional education in business management but hadn't found the right opportunity that would allow her to continue working while studying. The conversation took an exciting turn when Robert made his proposal. He offered Maya the position of community outreach manager for the new International District store, a role that would involve helping to plan the store layout, select products that would appeal to different cultural communities, and train staff in cultural sensitivity and basic multilingual customer service. Maya was stunned by the offer. The position would come with a significant salary increase, additional benefits, and the opportunity to help shape the direction of an entirely new store concept. Robert explained that he wanted someone who understood the importance of cultural sensitivity and could help bridge the communication gap between the store and its diverse customer base. The role would also involve conducting community outreach to introduce Henderson's Grocery to residents of the International District before the store opened. This would include attending cultural events, meeting with community leaders, and gathering feedback about what products and services would be most valued by different ethnic communities in the area. Robert emphasized that he was looking for someone who could grow with the position and potentially take on additional responsibilities as the company expanded further. He mentioned the possibility of Maya eventually managing her own store or overseeing multiple locations that serve diverse communities throughout the city. Maya asked thoughtful questions about the timeline for the new store opening, the budget for community outreach activities, and the training she would receive to prepare for her new responsibilities. Robert was impressed by her questions and her obvious interest in understanding all aspects of the opportunity. The meeting lasted nearly 2 hours, with Robert sharing his business philosophy and Maya describing her ideas for connecting with different cultural communities. She suggested partnering with local cultural organizations, hosting cooking demonstrations featuring international cuisines, and creating multilingual signage and promotional materials. Robert was particularly interested when Maya mentioned her volunteer work with a local refugee resettlement organization. She had been helping newly arrived families navigate American grocery stores, explaining different products and helping them find familiar ingredients for their traditional recipes. This experience had given her insight into the challenges faced by immigrants when trying to maintain their cultural food traditions in a new country. As the meeting concluded, Robert offered Maya a week to consider the position and discuss it with her family. He provided her with detailed information about the salary, benefits, and expectations for the role. He also gave her a folder containing demographic studies, market research, and preliminary plans for the International District store location. Maya left the meeting feeling both excited and overwhelmed. The opportunity was beyond anything she had imagined when she woke up that morning. She spent her lunch break walking around the International District, observing the existing businesses, noting the languages she heard being spoken, and imagining what it would be like to help create a grocery store that truly served this diverse community. That evening, Maya called her parents to share the news about the job offer. Her mother and father were thrilled but not entirely surprised. They reminded her that her ability to connect with people from different cultures had always been one of her strengths, and they encouraged her to seriously consider the opportunity. Maya also reached out to her friend Carmen, who worked in marketing for a nonprofit organization. Carmen helped her think through the potential challenges and opportunities of the position, and encouraged her to negotiate for additional professional development opportunities as part of her employment package. Over the next few days, Maya found herself paying closer attention to the customers who came into Henderson's Grocery. She noticed the elderly German woman from the phone call had indeed come to pick up her prescription, and they had a brief conversation in German about how helpful Maya had been. She also observed other customers who seemed to struggle with language barriers or appeared confused by certain American products. These observations reinforced Maya's belief that there was a real need for the type of store Robert was proposing. She began developing more detailed ideas about how to make the International District location truly welcoming to people from all backgrounds, while also serving the established community members who had been living in the area for years. By the end of the week, Maya had made her decision. She was ready to accept Robert's offer and embark on what she hoped would be an exciting new chapter in her career. Maya walked into Robert Henderson's office the following Monday morning with a mixture of nervous excitement and determined confidence. She had spent the weekend carefully reviewing the job offer, discussing it with her family, and developing her own ideas about how to make the International District store successful. When Robert looked up from his desk and saw her expression, he smiled knowingly. Maya accepted the position with enthusiasm, but she also came prepared with her own suggestions and requests. She asked for a 6-month timeline to properly research the community's needs before the store opening, additional budget for community engagement activities, and the opportunity to attend business management courses that would be paid for by the company. Robert was impressed by her thorough preparation and agreed to all of her requests, recognizing that her proactive approach confirmed he had made the right choice. The first few weeks in her new role were a whirlwind of learning and exploration. Robert arranged for Maya to spend time at each of the existing Henderson's grocery locations, studying their operations, inventory systems, and customer service practices. She worked closely with the purchasing managers to understand how products were selected, priced, and promoted to different customer segments. Maya's real education began when she started spending her days in the International District, introducing herself to business owners, community leaders, and residents. She visited the small German bakery run by Hans and Greta Müller, an elderly couple who had immigrated to America 40 years earlier, but still maintained strong connections to their homeland. They were delighted to meet someone who spoke fluent German and shared stories about the challenges of finding authentic European ingredients in American grocery stores. At the Mexican market owned by the Hernandez family, Maya learned about the importance of having fresh produce that met the standards expected by customers who were accustomed to shopping in traditional markets. Rosa Hernandez explained how American grocery stores often carried vegetables that looked perfect, but lacked the flavor and texture that her customers expected. For their traditional recipes, the French cafe owned by Pierre Dubois became another important stop in Maya's research. Pierre had been struggling to find suppliers for certain specialty items that his French customers requested, and he was excited about the possibility of a larger grocery store that might be able to stock these products regularly. Maya also spent time at the community center, where English language classes were held 3 evenings a week. She volunteered to help with these classes and used the opportunity to learn about the specific challenges faced by recent immigrants when shopping for groceries. Many students shared stories about embarrassing misunderstandings, difficulty finding familiar products, and frustration with store employees who couldn't understand their questions. One particularly moving conversation was with Amira, a young mother from Somalia, who had been in America for only 8 months. Amira explained how overwhelming American grocery stores were for someone who had never seen such a vast selection of products. She described spending hours trying to find halal meat and struggling to understand the different cuts of meat that were available. Maya took detailed notes about these challenges and began developing ideas for how the new store could address them. Through her community research, Maya discovered that the International District was home to more diverse populations than she had initially realized. In addition to the German, Mexican, and French communities she had expected, there were significant numbers of families from Somalia, Ethiopia, Vietnam, Bosnia, and Russia. Each group had specific dietary needs, cultural preferences, and language considerations that would need to be addressed. Maya began creating detailed profiles of each community, documenting their preferred shopping habits, traditional ingredients, religious dietary restrictions, and communication preferences. She learned that the Ethiopian community gathered every Sunday at St. Mary's Orthodox Church and often shared meals that required specific spices and grains. The Vietnamese families in the area operated several small businesses and were interested in fresh herbs and vegetables that weren't readily available in most American grocery stores. The research phase also revealed opportunities for cultural exchange and community building. Maya observed that while different ethnic communities lived in the same neighborhood, they didn't often interact with each other or share their cultural traditions. She began envisioning the new Henderson's grocery location as more than just a store, but as a community gathering place that could help bridge cultural divides. Maya proposed to Robert that they create a community advisory board with representatives from each major ethnic group in the international district. This board would meet monthly to provide feedback about product selection, suggest community events, and help ensure that the store was meeting the needs of all residents. Robert was enthusiastic about this idea and provided additional budget for Maya to organize the first advisory board meeting. The initial advisory board meeting was held at the community center on a Saturday afternoon, with refreshments provided by different cultural groups. Maya was amazed by the turnout and the enthusiasm of the participants. Hans Miller brought fresh pretzels from his bakery, Rosa Hernandez provided homemade tamales, and Amira contributed sambusas that she had learned to make from her mother-in-law. During the meeting, Maya presented her preliminary research findings and asked for feedback about her proposed store layout, product categories, and customer service approaches. The discussion was lively and productive, with board members sharing specific examples of products they had been unable to find in other local stores and suggesting ways that Henderson's grocery could better serve their communities. One unexpected outcome of the advisory board meeting was the formation of informal partnerships between different cultural groups. Pierre Dubois offered to teach bread-making classes at the community center, while Rosa Hernandez suggested organizing a multicultural cooking demonstration that would feature dishes from several different countries. These connections reinforced Maya's belief that the grocery store could serve as a catalyst for community building. Based on the feedback from the advisory board, Maya began developing a comprehensive plan for the International District store. The layout would include dedicated sections for products from different cultures, clearly marked with multilingual signage. The produce section would feature both familiar American fruits and vegetables alongside specialty items requested by various ethnic communities. Maya also proposed hiring staff members who represented the linguistic diversity of the neighborhood. She suggested that each major language group should have at least one staff member who could communicate effectively with customers in their native language. This would require a different hiring approach than Henderson's Grocery had used in the past, but Robert supported the plan as an investment in customer service excellence. The staffing plan also included cross-cultural training for all employees, regardless of their linguistic abilities. Maya developed a curriculum that would help staff members understand the cultural significance of certain products, recognize dietary restrictions related to religious practices, and provide respectful customer service to people from all backgrounds. As Maya's research phase continued, she began visiting trade shows and specialty food distributors to identify suppliers for international products. This was one of the most challenging aspects of her preparation, as she had to balance authenticity with cost-effectiveness, while ensuring that products would have adequate shelf life and customer demand. Maya discovered that many specialty products could be sourced through distributors who already served ethnic restaurants in the city. By partnering with these existing suppliers, Henderson's Grocery could offer authentic products without the complexity of establishing relationships with overseas manufacturers. The progress Maya made during her first 3 months in the new position exceeded Robert's expectations. Her detailed research, community connections, and practical planning had created a solid foundation for what promised to be Henderson's Grocery's most ambitious and innovative store opening. Robert began to see Maya not just as an employee, but as a potential business partner who could help expand his company's reach into markets he had never imagined possible. As spring turned to summer, Maya's work in the International District had transformed from research into active community building. The monthly advisory board meetings had become popular events that residents looked forward to attending, and Maya found herself becoming a familiar face throughout the neighborhood. Children would wave to her from their apartment windows, and elderly residents would stop her on the street to share their thoughts about the upcoming grocery store. One of Maya's most successful initiatives was the creation of cultural cooking classes held at the community center every other Saturday. The idea had emerged from the advisory board discussions, but Maya had taken the lead in organizing and promoting these events. Each class featured a different cultural tradition, with community members volunteering to teach their neighbors how to prepare traditional dishes from their homeland. The first class was led by Hans Müller, who taught participants how to make authentic German bread and pretzels. The second session featured Rosa Hernandez, demonstrating the preparation of various Mexican salsas and explaining the different types of chilies used in traditional recipes. The third class was particularly memorable, as Amira overcame her shyness to teach other community members how to make Somali flatbread and spiced tea. These cooking classes served multiple purposes beyond just sharing recipes. Maya observed that they were breaking down cultural barriers and creating friendships between families who might never have spoken to each other otherwise. The classes also provided valuable market research, as Maya could see which ingredients were most important to different cultural groups and which American substitutes were acceptable. When authentic products weren't available, Maya documented everything she learned from these classes in detailed reports that would guide the product selection for the new store. She discovered that certain spices were absolutely essential to specific communities and couldn't be substituted, while other ingredients could be adapted or replaced with more readily available alternatives. This information would be crucial for inventory planning and supplier negotiations. The success of the cooking classes led to other community events that Maya helped organize. A multicultural festival in the neighborhood park brought together food vendors, musicians, and artisans from different cultural backgrounds. Maya convinced Robert to sponsor the event, and Henderson's Grocery had a booth where staff members from existing stores volunteered to help with food preparation and serving. During the festival, Maya conducted informal surveys about shopping preferences and gathered contact information from residents who wanted to be notified about the new store's opening date. The response was overwhelmingly positive, with many people expressing excitement about having a grocery store that would stock products from their cultural traditions while also providing the convenience and variety they expected from American retailers. Maya's reputation in the community was further enhanced when she helped resolve a conflict between the Ethiopian Orthodox Church and the city planning department. The church had been trying to obtain permits for a community garden where members could grow traditional herbs and vegetables, but they had encountered bureaucratic obstacles and language barriers that prevented them from completing the necessary paperwork. Maya volunteered to serve as an interpreter and advocate for the church, using her experience working with Robert to navigate the city's permit process. She attended planning meetings, helped translate documents, and coordinated between the church leadership and city officials. When the community garden was finally approved, Maya was invited to participate in the blessing ceremony, which was conducted in both Amharic and English. This experience taught Maya valuable lessons about the challenges faced by immigrant communities when dealing with American bureaucracy and business practices. She realized that Henderson's Grocery would need to go beyond just providing multilingual customer service to truly serve these communities effectively. The store would need to help customers understand American shopping customs, payment methods, and return policies that might be unfamiliar to recent immigrants. Maya proposed creating a customer orientation program that would help new residents learn how to navigate American grocery shopping. This program would include explanations of unit pricing, coupon usage, loyalty programs, and other aspects of the American retail experience that might be confusing to people from different cultural backgrounds. Robert was initially skeptical about dedicating store resources to customer education, but Maya convinced him that this investment would build long-term customer loyalty and word-of-mouth referrals that would benefit the business. She argued that customers who felt comfortable and confident shopping at Henderson's Grocery would become regular customers who would also recommend the store to their friends and family members. The customer orientation program became part of Maya's broader vision for the International District Store as a community resource, rather than just a retail establishment. She proposed creating partnerships with local social service organizations, the Refugee Resettlement Agency, and the community college's English language program to identify families who would benefit from grocery shopping orientation. Maya's work with the Refugee Resettlement Agency proved particularly valuable for both her research and the broader community. She began volunteering as a cultural liaison, helping newly arrived families with their initial grocery shopping experiences. This work gave her firsthand insight into the confusion and overwhelm that many immigrants experienced when faced with the enormous selection and unfamiliar products in American supermarkets. Through this volunteer work, Maya met families from countries she hadn't previously considered in her store planning. Recent refugees from Afghanistan brought different dietary needs and cultural preferences than the established Middle Eastern communities in the area. Families from Central America had specific requirements for fresh produce and prepared foods that differed from the Mexican community's needs. Each new cultural group Maya encountered added complexity to her planning, but also reinforced her belief that the international district store could serve as a bridge between diverse communities and American commerce. She began maintaining detailed files on more than a dozen different cultural groups, documenting their food preferences, shopping habits, religious dietary restrictions, and communication needs. Maya's reputation as a cultural bridge builder led to unexpected opportunities. The mayor's office contacted her about serving on a citywide diversity and inclusion committee, and the local newspaper wrote a feature story about her work in the international district. The attention was flattering, but also increased the pressure to ensure that the Hendersons' grocery store would live up to the community's growing expectations. Robert was impressed by the positive publicity Maya's work was generating for the company, but he also began to worry about whether the store concept would be financially viable. The specialized inventory, multilingual staffing, and community programming Maya was proposing would significantly increase operating costs compared to Henderson's other locations. Maya addressed these concerns by presenting detailed financial projections based on her demographic research and community feedback. She demonstrated that the international district had a higher population density than any of Henderson's existing store locations, and that the specialized services would allow the company to charge premium prices for hard-to-find specialty products. She also argued that the community programming and cultural sensitivity training would reduce employee turnover and increase customer loyalty, both of which would improve long-term profitability. Maya had researched similar store concepts in other cities and found examples of grocery stores that had successfully served diverse immigrant communities while maintaining healthy profit margins. The most compelling part of Maya's financial argument was her analysis of the competition. The international district was currently served only by small ethnic markets that had limited product selection and several larger chain stores that were located inconveniently far from the neighborhood's residential areas. Henderson's Grocery would be the first full-service supermarket designed specifically to serve the area's diverse population. Maya's community connections were also generating business opportunities beyond retail sales. Several local restaurants had expressed interest in purchasing specialty ingredients wholesale from the new store, and the community center wanted to explore hosting cooking classes in a demonstration kitchen that could be built into the store layout. By the end of the summer, Maya had transformed from a grocery store employee into a community leader and business development specialist. Her work had created a network of relationships and partnerships that would support the new store's success, while also benefiting the broader international district community. Robert began to see that his investment in Maya and her vision would pay dividends far beyond what he had originally imagined. The autumn months brought intense preparation as the opening date for the International District Henderson's Grocery approached. Maya found herself working 12-hour days, coordinating between contractors, suppliers, staff training programs, and community outreach activities. The empty storefront that had once housed a failed furniture store was being transformed into something unprecedented in the city's retail landscape. Maya had convinced Robert to invest in custom shelving and signage that would accommodate products of different sizes and packaging styles from various countries. The produce section featured refrigerated displays designed to showcase both familiar American fruits and vegetables, alongside exotic items that many customers had never seen before. Clear, multilingual labels explained the names and suggested uses for unfamiliar products, with some labels including QR codes that linked to simple recipe videos on the store's website. The hiring process had been one of Maya's most challenging tasks. She needed to find employees who not only spoke multiple languages, but also understood the cultural sensitivities required to serve diverse customer bases. Maya had partnered with local community colleges, refugee resettlement agencies, and cultural organizations to identify potential candidates. The hiring interviews were unlike anything Henderson's Grocery had done before. Maya conducted many interviews in languages other than English, testing candidates' abilities to explain complex product information and handle customer service situations that might arise in a multicultural environment. She was looking for people who could serve as cultural ambassadors while also maintaining the high customer service standards that Henderson's Grocery was known for. Among her successful hires was Ahmed, a recent graduate from Somalia, who had worked part-time at a convenience store while completing his business degree. Ahmed spoke Somali, Arabic, and English fluently, and his warm personality made customers feel immediately comfortable. Maya also hired Carmen, a bilingual social worker who was looking for a career change and brought valuable experience working with immigrant families. The most significant hire was Elena, a retired teacher from Bosnia who had managed a small market in her home country before immigrating to America 15 years earlier. Elena's experience with European suppliers and her understanding of both business operations and cultural nuances made her an ideal candidate for assistant manager. Maya convinced Robert that Elena's expertise was worth the premium salary required to attract her to the position. Staff training began 6 weeks before the store opening and was, unlike any program Henderson's Grocery had implemented previously. Maya developed a curriculum that included basic phrases in 6 different languages, cultural awareness sessions, and role-playing exercises that prepared employees for situations they might encounter with customers from various backgrounds. The training sessions became learning experiences for Maya as well. Elena taught the staff about the importance of personal relationships in business cultures, where customers expected to know their shopkeepers personally. Ahmed explained Islamic dietary laws and how to help Muslim customers identify halal products. Carmen shared insights about the challenges faced by families, sending money to relatives in other countries, and how flexible payment policies could help these customers. Maya organized field trips to ethnic restaurants and cultural events so that staff members could better understand the communities they would be serving. The team visited a German Oktoberfest celebration, a Mexican Day of the Dead festival, and a Somali Cultural Center's Eid celebration. These experiences helped employees develop genuine appreciation for different cultural traditions rather than just memorizing facts about various ethnic groups. And the store's grand opening was planned as a 3-day community celebration rather than a traditional retail event. Maya had coordinated with local cultural organizations to host demonstrations, performances, and food tastings that would showcase the diversity of the international district. Each day would feature different cultural groups, allowing the entire community to participate in the celebration. Maya's community advisory board had grown from the original 8 members to more than 20 representatives from different cultural, religious, and civic organizations. The board had become an essential part of the store's planning process, providing feedback on everything, from product selection to store layout to promotional activities. The board's input had led to several unique features that distinguished the International District Store from other Henderson's locations. A halal meat counter was staffed by a certified halal butcher who could custom cut meat according to different cultural preferences. A fresh bread section featured daily deliveries from Hans Muller's German bakery, alongside traditional breads from Mexican, Somali, and Vietnamese bakeries in the area. One of Maya's proudest innovations was the community bulletin board system, available in multiple languages, where customers could post announcements about cultural events, language exchange opportunities, housing availability, and other community news. This feature transformed the grocery store into a genuine community gathering place where information sharing happened naturally. The multilingual customer service approach extended beyond just having staff members who spoke different languages. Maya had created reference materials that helped all employees understand cultural preferences for shopping behavior, payment methods, and social interactions. Some customers preferred to examine produce very carefully and expected this to be acceptable, while others came from cultures where haggling over prices was normal and needed gentle education about American fixed pricing practices. Maya had also negotiated special arrangements with several international money transfer services, allowing customers to send remittances to family members in other countries while grocery shopping. This service was particularly valued by immigrant families who had been traveling significant distances to access these services. Previously, the store's inventory reflected months of careful research and community input. Maya had established relationships with specialty distributors who could provide authentic products from more than 30 different countries. Some items were available only seasonally or for special holidays, but Maya had created systems to notify customers when specific products would be available and to take special orders for items that weren't regularly stocked. Technology played an important role in bridging language barriers and cultural differences. Maya had worked with a local tech company to develop a mobile app that customers could use to locate products, access recipe suggestions, and receive notifications about cultural events and special promotions. The app was available in 8 languages and included audio pronunciation guides for product names. As the opening date approached, Maya felt both excitement and anxiety about whether her vision would translate into business success. The community response had been overwhelmingly positive, but she knew that the store would ultimately be judged on its ability to provide excellent customer service, competitive prices, and the products that customers actually wanted to buy. The pre-opening week was a blur of final preparations, last-minute deliveries, and system testing. Maya worked alongside the staff to ensure that every product was properly labeled, priced, and positioned. She double-checked the multilingual signage, tested the point-of-sale systems, and walked through customer service scenarios with each employee. Robert Henderson spent the final days before opening observing Maya's preparations and marveling at the transformation that had taken place. The store looked unlike any grocery store he had ever seen, but he could feel the energy and excitement that Maya had generated throughout the international district. Lines of potential customers were already forming outside the store, with families from different cultural backgrounds chatting with each other as they waited for the grand opening celebration to begin. Maya had created something more than a grocery store. She had built a bridge between cultures and a gathering place for a community that had previously lacked a central meeting point. As she stood in the completed store the night before opening, the grand opening day arrived with unexpected challenges that tested everything Maya had learned about community building and crisis management. A delivery truck carrying specialty products from 3 different international suppliers broke down 2 blocks from the store, threatening to leave empty shelves in some of the most anticipated sections. Maya quickly coordinated with Elena and Ahmed to organize a community rescue effort, with volunteers helping to hand-carry products from the stranded truck to the store while maintaining the festive atmosphere of the opening celebration. This impromptu community effort became one of the most memorable moments of the opening day, as customers who had come to shop found themselves helping to stock shelves alongside store employees and community leaders. Hans Muller and his teenage grandson carried cases of German imports, while families from the Somali community formed a human chain to transport halal meat products. The collaborative spirit embodied everything Maya had hoped to achieve with the store's community-focused approach. By mid-morning, the store was buzzing with activity that exceeded even Maya's optimistic projections. Customers were not just shopping, but exploring, with children pointing excitedly at products they recognized from their home countries, and elderly customers sharing stories about traditional foods they hadn't seen in American stores for years. The multilingual staff moved seamlessly between languages, helping customers navigate the store, layout, and explaining unfamiliar American products to recent immigrants. The cooking demonstration area that Maya had insisted on including in the store design proved to be a brilliant decision. Rosa Hernandez kicked off the grand opening festivities by demonstrating how to prepare fresh salsa using ingredients available in the store's expanded produce section. Her presentation drew a crowd of more than 50 people, with customers taking notes and asking questions in multiple languages, while store employees translated and facilitated conversations between participants. The success continued throughout the first week, with daily sales figures that surpassed the performance of Henderson's most established locations. Maya found herself working longer hours than ever, but the positive feedback from customers and the obvious impact on the community made every challenge worthwhile. Customer comment cards poured in with praise written in different languages, and several local news outlets featured stories about the innovative grocery store that was bringing together diverse communities. Robert Henderson had initially worried about the financial viability of Maya's community-focused approach, but the early results exceeded his most optimistic projections. The combination of specialty products with premium pricing, high customer volume, and extremely low employee turnover created a business model that was both profitable and sustainable. Within the first month, Robert was receiving inquiries from grocery industry, publications, and business schools wanting to study the International District Store as a case study in community-centered retail. Maya's role evolved rapidly from community outreach manager to de facto general manager of the International District location. Robert formalized this promotion 3 months after opening, along with a significant salary increase and profit-sharing arrangement that reflected her contribution to the store's success. Maya had gone from answering phones in German to managing a groundbreaking retail operation that was generating interest from businesses and community organizations across the country. The store's impact extended far beyond retail sales into genuine community development. The monthly advisory board meetings had evolved into a community council that addressed issues ranging from neighborhood safety to youth programming to small business development. Maya found herself serving as an unofficial liaison between the International District and city government, helping to secure funding for infrastructure improvements and community programs. The success of the cooking classes led to expanded programming that included small business, workshops for aspiring entrepreneurs, English conversation groups for recent immigrants, and cultural exchange events that brought together families from different backgrounds. The store's community room, which Maya had insisted on including in the original design, became a popular venue for celebrations, meetings, and educational programs. Maya's personal growth paralleled the store's success. She enrolled in an evening MBA program that Robert agreed to sponsor, with the understanding that her education would benefit both her career development and the company's expansion plans. Her coursework in international business, marketing, and organizational development provided academic framework for the practical experience she was gaining. Through her work in the International District, the relationships Maya had built with customers became the foundation for innovations that continued to set Henderson's Grocery apart from competitors. When several Ethiopian customers mentioned difficulty finding traditional coffee beans, Maya worked with a specialty importer to create a coffee roasting program that featured beans from different regions around the world. The monthly coffee tasting events became popular social gatherings that attracted customers from throughout the city. Elena's suggestion to offer cooking classes taught by customers rather than professional chefs became one of the store's most successful programs. Community members volunteered to share their expertise in preparing traditional dishes, with the store providing ingredients and Maya coordinating the logistics. These classes created revenue streams through ingredient sales while strengthening relationships between the store and its customers, and the store's success attracted attention from other Henderson's Grocery locations, with employees requesting transfers to work in the International District store's innovative environment. Maya developed training programs that allowed successful practices from the International District to be adapted for other locations serving diverse communities. Her expertise in multicultural customer service became a valuable resource for the entire Henderson's Grocery chain. Robert began consulting with Maya about expansion opportunities that would replicate the International District model in other cities with significant immigrant populations. Maya's research and community engagement strategies became templates for market analysis and store development in diverse communities. She found herself traveling to potential new locations, conducting demographic studies and meeting with community leaders to assess opportunities for similar stores. The personal satisfaction Maya derived from her work went far beyond professional advancement or financial success. She regularly received letters and visits from customers sharing stories about how the store had helped them feel more at home in America. Elderly immigrants expressed gratitude for being able to find familiar products that connected them to their homeland, while young families appreciated the opportunity to share their cultural traditions with their American-born children. Maya's favorite success story involved Amira, the young Somali mother, who had initially been so overwhelmed by American grocery stores. Amira had become a regular volunteer for the store's community programs and eventually started her own catering business, specializing in East African cuisine. Maya had helped Amira navigate the business licensing process and connected her with suppliers through the store's vendor relationships. The transformation of the International District had been dramatic, with new businesses opening and property values increasing as the neighborhood gained recognition as a model for successful multicultural community development. Maya's work with Henderson's Grocery had catalyzed broader changes that benefited all residents, regardless of their cultural background or length of residence in America. As Maya reflected on her journey from grocery store employee to community leader and business innovator, she realized that answering a phone call in German had changed not only her own life, but the lives of hundreds of families in the international district. Her ability to bridge language and cultural barriers had created opportunities that no one could have anticipated when Robert Henderson first heard her helping an elderly German woman find her way to the store. The success of the International District Henderson's Grocery had proven that businesses could be profitable while serving as forces for community building and cultural understanding. Maya's vision of a grocery store as a gathering place where diverse communities could maintain their traditions while building new relationships had become a reality that was inspiring. Similar projects in cities across the country. Maya's story demonstrated that sometimes the most significant opportunities arise from the simplest acts of kindness and communication, and that recognizing and nurturing talent can create success that benefits entire communities while building sustainable, profitable businesses.